Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture. And here in the United States, it is the day before Thanksgiving, traditionally being one of the most heavily traveled days, people going to see their family. And also tonight, people out celebrating before the big feast tomorrow. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for being on this journey with us as we bring education, hope, and inspiration. And if you're looking to find out the latest news, what's really going on over there in the United Kingdom and what is that royal family up to, you've come to the right place. Let's welcome our expert correspondents. Today, DIANN, FLOYD, BOEHM, and Helena Chard have the day off. So I'd have to say it's me and the boys. Let's welcome Mr. Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be back. I really look forward to these Wednesday afternoons. Or mornings with you. It's a great leveler for me, and so on, of all the hubbub of work going on through the week and so on. And here we get a chance to put the feet up and relax and solve all the problems of the world.
Absolutely. Let our hair down and have some fun. And joining us, of course, is Mr. Ian Pelham Turner. Hello, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm Thanksgiving that there's at least three of us talking this afternoon about all the things that are going on in Britain right now. And how can you explain some of the things that are going on at the moment? It's an incredible time in Great Britain.
Well, I have to say that the mainstream media, the news, there are all these photographs of the royals, and there's, of course, discussion about the series on Netflix, which we don't feel like discussing, and then what's going on, people making decisions between buying food or fuel, and then who's really in charge and what's going on. So there's so much for us to discuss. Where should we get started?
Well, shall we get off with some of the news to start off with? And that might be a good start. So I've got a few news items. First of all, I have to sort of wish my business partner and great friend as well, Helena Chard, to please get better again soon. She's very well missed this afternoon. She's a great contributor to the show itself as well. And I think, normally she'd be doing all the royal news, so I will attempt to sort of fill her very large shoes this afternoon with some things. And we're going, this is the first state ceremony that we've had for King Charles since he became king. And it's really, this is the complete pomp and ceremony that you will see in Britain these days, and it's for Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the president of South Africa. And we're cozying up to Africa at the moment, especially South Africa, because South Africa apparently is our biggest marketplace in Africa itself right now. And so President Ramaphosa has come over and he's really receiving the full state treatment. There'll be, yesterday, for example, a 21 gun salute was sounded in Green Park, which is the park next to Buckingham Palace. There was a whole series of royal dignitaries turning up. The new Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Kate, turned up as well for the event. Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister, turned up, and it was a huge affair with 2,000 military turned up as well to actually create a guard of honor for Ramaphosa at the same time. And today he's in Downing Street as well, and has been really sort of looking at how we can actually build trade with South Africa at the same time. And Simon, do we actually, I wonder, do we actually sell smoked salmon to South Africa? Is that one of our areas?
Well, even deeper rooted than that. I actually lived in South Africa in Knysna for about 5 years, and I built a smokehouse there, smoking Scottish salmon in South Africa using all Scottish techniques. Then the town of Knysna, I reckon there's actually more Scots there than there are in Scotland. I mean, every other person you meet is Scottish. So, you know, big audience, big market there. My time in South Africa was involved in training their health inspectors in HACCP, which is hazard control, critical control points, which is a vital document in food production if you want to supply into European countries. And of course, at that time, we were part of the EU. So it's a food standards certification. And the local health inspectors in South Africa didn't actually know what to do about this, how to implement it, and how to monitor it. So I had 5 years down there with my smokehouse and also training their health inspectors. It's an amazing country. I remember my first experience of arriving there, and I got off the plane, the 5-hour drive from Cape Town through to Knysna. And I likened it to being Scotland on a vast scale. There are all the mountains and the lochs and the rivers and so on, just as we have here. The weather is somewhat better. They've got strange looking animals that we certainly don't have here as well. You know, our deer are pretty wild, but not a patch on a charging lion or a hippo, which is the most dangerous animal there. And when I arrived in Knysna, I remember speaking to somebody there, and they say, "Oh, in Scotland, you're so proud about the heather that you've got growing there." And I said, "Oh, yes, it's wonderful, covered in it." And it said, "Yes, in Scotland, you've got 45 different varieties of heather growing wild." And I said, "Oh, as many as that? Wow." And they said, "Yeah, but we've got 98 growing here in Knysna." So I thought, right, okay, that put everything into perspective. So yeah, and it's interesting to see Cyril Ramaphosa coming here and really getting the royal treatment. Politics in South Africa have been very, very difficult, very dodgy for the last few years. His predecessor, Jacob Zuma, is actually languishing in jail at the moment, having squirreled away millions and millions of pounds, and it's just disappeared off the face of the earth. So politically, it's still, I would almost say, in its infancy. I don't want to be demeaning to South Africans, because I think they're marvelous people, very resourceful, incredibly robust, and they've got a great sense of humor. Their culinary skills are still going to come up to par. There is one Michelin star chef in South Africa, and a great friend of mine there has actually trained this guy. But extraordinary country. So that's it. I'm actually going there myself. I don't expect to get 21 gun salutes when I come off the plane. I don't expect to be put in the carriage and paraded around Cape Town, but it's granddaughter's wedding, so I've got to go for that. And then I've got some meetings on fisheries as well through the rest of the time, and in Knysna too. So looking forward to it.
I mean, I can just imagine you just stepping off the plane and looking around first of all, and sort of saying, "Don't they know who I am?"
You already see me.
They do.
Where's my carriage? It's a country I've never been to. I've been to different parts of the world, but Africa I've never been to. But I think in all honesty, trying to at the moment, I understand. As you know, I do a political show each week, and on the political show at the moment, people ask me, well, we're out of the European Union now, and there's rumours that we may be sort of trying to get our way back in through a back door, and it's what's known as the Swiss agreement that Switzerland have got with the EU. We're thinking that there's been rumours about this, and so the rumours apparently have been put out by our Chancellor. I didn't know this before. These have been put out by our Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, that have been squashed down flat by Rishi Sunak, who say, no, this is never going to happen. you know, and it seems a very, very strange time as well for things, you know, in trade as well. And JACALYN and I and Alcelian, you know, we were all talking about, you know, the other night on, you know, where is trade and where's the economies of the world. And I think it is. So, I mean, the one thing that I wonder, Simon, you know, is do you see Africa in general as a great future market? Because this is what's being said by a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. And South Africa's really, you know, really embraced the 21st century in a big, big way. It's a country, and that 5-year spell I had there, I could see it going ahead in leaps and bounds. The enthusiasm and the energy that's coming from the business community in South Africa is quite extraordinary. And they are very keen to trade with us as well. I mean, you know, on the fisheries side, they're desperately keen to have, you know, our salmon in particular, and our shellfish and all fisheries products. The whiskey are great, obviously export from Scotland as well. I mean, there's big markets opening up in whiskey because they've got a colossal wine industry there as well. It's actually probably South Africa's best kept secret, because the wines that they have and keep to themselves there are absolutely outstanding. So the first couple of days, could be staying on a wine estate. Yippee! I will be a very happy bunny, probably too happy.
Simon, sorry, I just have a quick digression. What does it take to build a smokehouse? Is that a large involved project?
It depends on the scale we want to go to. I mean, I do consultancy work on building smokehouses. I've had projects all around the world, and you know, what does it take? Money, quite a lot of it as well. The equipment is, you know, is quite expensive, because obviously food grade, it's going to be food grade, medical grade. It's much the same. So there's a lot of very shiny stainless steel. All the walls in the building have to be lined. You have to have, you know, it's got to be totally impervious for water and for insects getting in, or, you know, to avoid any risk of cross-contamination. Your refrigeration has to be absolutely ace, with separate refrigeration for raw product to finished product. So there's all sorts of factors go in. Packaging equipment as well. I mean, packaging machines, vacuum packers, even the basic ones are actually quite expensive. Last project I did was just not so long ago in the south of France. Somebody has to be there, you know. And I got a client down there who's built, it's actually quite a compact smokehouse, but it's got a big punch. He's got some fantastic products going out now, and he's got a very good market there. In South Africa, you know, I built it to European standards, basically, with all the linings and all the, you know, the HACCP in place and so on as well, which became a bit of a training ground for the health inspectors, so they could understand what is required in all food premises. But in smoking, it's you know, it's quite specialised in many ways, because you know, you've got to have some major separation zones to, you know, to stop any risk of contamination during the process. So it is quite a costly exercise. I think if you're going to build a smokehouse today, somewhere in the region at least $100,000 just to get it going. It can be done on the cheap, but at the end of the day, that cheapness becomes quite expensive, because you've got to invest more and more as you go along.
Thank you for that. You know, that was the number I had in mind, was 100,000. I don't know why. That just popped into my mind.
It's cross-Atlantic telepathy.
And I feel, you know, I feel like I am in South Africa this afternoon. As I'm leaving this flat, parakeets have decided to nest in the roof. And there is this one parakeet at the moment who hangs upside down from the guttering and looks at me through the window. and I'm thinking, you know, what do they think they're doing? And do you know what? As we're talking just now, I can hear these toes tapping on the ceiling where they're going up and down. So they're obviously building a nest or something. So I thought this, you know, this was just a funny thing. And then when I spoke to Helena about it as well, she's got some storage in the roof at the same time, and she was now worried about what's being stored up there in case the parakeets actually do something. But it you know, it is one of these things. Anyways, if we move on.
Yes.
I was just having
Yes.
conjuring up images in my mind there of a tap dancing parakeet suspended upside down.
It's his fan club.
It is, you know, I swear to goodness, the first time I saw it, I thought I was hallucinating. I'd been taking these, you know, inhalers, you know, for this cough, and I thought, God, I'm hallucinating now as well. And there's about 4 of them that have, you know, have created this thing. Anyway, that's besides the point. But let's move on. Historically, this week, it's actually 30 years this week when Windsor Castle had its major fire. And at the time, if you remember, that basically it was later alleged that the fire was caused by lighting that had got too hot and was too close to some curtains, some drapes, and that's what set the fire off. Because there's a lot of wood still, you know, from the historic side of Windsor Castle, it very rapidly caught fire. And Prince Andrew in those days was the savior of Windsor Castle. You know, in those days he was seen as the hero because he very quickly got a large percentage of the paintings and you know, furniture out of the building, and a lot of the artifacts were saved. And I always remember the following day, it was raining the following day, and the Queen came to look at what had happened to Windsor Castle itself as well. And she was wearing this green anorak with a hood as well. But you could see that she was so upset. It was written across her face at the time that, you know, what she saw, because really Windsor Castle was her home in a lot of ways. You know, even in her later days, she spent so much more time at Windsor. She because basically she spent her childhood with Princess Margaret there as well, and they found their love of horses there. During the Second World War, they were taken there because Buckingham Palace was bombed at that time, and it was hit 3 times, 3 sessions during World War II as well. So they felt far more safe in the grounds of Windsor Castle, and it was there where she had one of her first meetings after meeting Prince Philip, and he would come and watch the pantomime. They had a theatre actually built in Windsor Castle as well, and they used to do a pantomime every year, the royal family, and Philip would come, and he was seen as a guest, but in reality this was a way of meeting his future wife, Princess Elizabeth, at that time, without too much recognition going on. So do you know what a pantomime is, JACALYN?
Yes.
Okay, moving on then.
Well, I was going to say that in the Netflix series, that was the last scene that I saw, was the Queen going and inspecting the damage from the fire. And I just wondered, what was the outcome? How was the fire started? Was it ever determined?
Yeah, it was a halogen lamp. At the time, I think builders were in the castle as well. And halogen lamps, as I know, I used to use halogen lamps until I realized how unsafe they were, because halogen lamps were actually very good. It produces a very nice sheen when you're doing videoing. And it sort of makes your skin look so much more supple and so forth. But I didn't realize, I know, but you don't need it. You don't need it. Me, I need it. It's fine. Me need light. You don't. So,
I need puffy.
you know, and so we started using these lamps, and they were really powerful as well. But they produce this very fresh looking, features on your face. Very nice complexion. But I soon realized how hot they would get. And apparently this halogen lamp was too close to one of the drapes, and that's what caught fire in the first place, and that's how it started. And I think in the end, if I remember rightly, Simon might know better than me, I think it cost something like about 80 million to actually rebuild that part of Windsor Castle at that time as well. So there was a lot of restoration going on, but you know, I mean, yeah, at the moment, as we've been hearing recently, you know, Andrew and Harry are sort of slightly in disgrace. Well, not with myself, but with members of the royal family at the moment. I mean, Andrew, I think there's, you know, the strangest thing is happening at the moment where, as a royal watcher, you know, I'm obviously constantly being bombarded with royal items as well that I have to deal with, and there's been a lot of acrimony, you know, as well at the moment over Meghan especially, and even rumours that they're getting divorced and all this stuff, you know, and I wonder why, you know, you know, for me, I think the American attitude has been a lot better for Harry and Meghan, or at least I hope it has, because at least in America they've embraced the situation, and I think, you know, at the moment, as I keep on saying all the time, I wish they could find ways of coming back together again. I think we need a very strong royal family, you know, for the future. And I think Harry and Meghan, whether the royal family like it or not, are far more famous and, you know, have brand appeal across the rest of the world than I think William and Kate do.
Simon, would you like to comment?
Yes, I mean, there's so many mixed feelings about Harry and Meghan over here, and it's a sort of a Marmite thing. I mean, Marmite, you love it, you loathe it, and I think that seems to be the situation with Harry and Meghan. But I mean, the royal family is still held in very high esteem, even in Scotland, and its quest for independence, which you know, still goes on. Although today, the Supreme Court's ruled that Scotland can't have a referendum for independence because they felt that in 2014, that was the last one, that it was to be once in a generation. And so they thought, well, between 2014 and 2022, that's a very fast generation. So they've ruled against that. I think Nicola Sturgeon is still planning on having a de facto referendum at the next general election. So we shall see what happens. I mean, that's something which is unfolding. I was watching some of it on Parliament today after Prime Minister's question time, and it's going to be a hot debate for quite a while. So certainly at Prime Minister's questions, it was the Scottish National Party were giving the Prime Minister a very hard time over the issue of the referendum. So it's an unfolding story, that one.
And I think it is. I mean, for me personally, I think they should have another referendum. That's my feeling. Is that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there should be, to settle it out for once and for all. My fears are, if the referendum goes through and Scotland does get independence, will we be a republic, or will we still have monarchy? And I mean, personally, I would very much like to see the monarchy still being there. It'd be very difficult if we didn't allow them to come and stay in Balmoral or Holyrood Palace. That could be an issue. But if there is independence, I feel that the royal family should still preside there, rather than making the country into a republic. I think that could create a lot of problems.
Yeah,
but Scotland wants to get back into Europe, and that is really one of the big selling points and issues on the referendum. That Scotland gets independence. First thing is, let's get back into Europe. So that would be a good thing.
If it is approved, when would it take place? Oh, sorry.
No, Karen, I'm sorry.
If it is approved, when would it take place? Next year or the year after?
I think it was at the 14th of October next year, I believe, is the date which they were planning. But that's been overturned. I presume there will be probably some form of appeal. I don't know where they're going to find the money for it, because it's made a lot of very wealthy lawyers, the whole process, and budgets are right throughout the UK are very, very tight indeed now. So can we afford a full-blown appeal? I don't know, but we shall see. Watch this space.
Tune in this next week and every week.
That's right. Yes, this is all the more reason why everybody out there, come on, keep watching USA Global TV and this particular show as well, to get the whole story as it unfolds and so on. Episode 2 coming up and so on. We'll have more episodes in The Crown.
We're up to episode 45 right now.
Oh, there we are. That's about my age.
Important. I think it's important at the moment, that we do talk about these things as well, because, for me, I don't see any reason why Scotland should not have its independence. I think there would still be very close connections with the royal family. Obviously, there would be very close connections with England as well. I think the big worry that the government has is then perhaps Wales may try to do the same thing, or then Northern Ireland may try to do something again. So it's the breakup of the United Kingdom. And I never really felt that Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister, really cared that much. And I think that the arguments that the Scottish National Party argue, that really it should be up to the Scottish people, who were totally against Brexit, from what I understand as well, should not have means of actually determining their own future. I think it is very important, and really, listening to what's going on at the moment as well. If we really believe in democracy, because really, we came out of the EU really so that we could create our own global awareness. So why not give the Scottish people the same rights that really were taken away from them, I think. Why not give them the opportunity to decide? And if they do decide to, become their own country, completely outside the United Kingdom as the structure is, then to allow, I would think the royal family would want to sort of still remain within it. I think the constitution could be done, and I think it'd be a very good thing for Scotland to go back into the European Union.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I mean, when the referendum was held for do we stay in Europe or do we come out of Europe? it was nearly 90% of the Scottish voters wanted to remain in Europe. So that's a big, big chunk of, and a big, big voice that wanted to remain. And if you look at the political map over Scotland, the Scottish Nationalist Party, who are the present Scottish government, they've just about wiped the board in the last general elections. They ousted just about everybody. So there were very few other parties got a look in. The Conservative Party, the Scottish Conservative Party, became opposition, but they were a long way behind. The Scottish Labour Party was absolutely decimated, and the Scottish Liberal Party, only finished up with about 3 or 4 seats. So it's there's been a big swing for the Scottish National. Although, I mean, recently they have been getting lots of criticism for maybe focusing too much on the referendum and taking the eye off the ball, to use football terminology, been taking the eye off the ball a bit with the other major issues like National Health Service and the education and all the other big issues which are affecting people on a day-to-day basis.
And if we perhaps move on to, because the next item that I was going to talk about is food. Now, this is,
I knew it. I knew we'd get to it.
You see, I knew this would bring the smile back on people's faces again. I mean, what is a program like this without a food item, or at least some food analogies, each and every week? And so there's 2 items this week on food. The first item is that, not that I've ever had it, it's not something I've ever fancied, but foie gras, which is a dish served really only to royal members and very wealthy people, has been banned now from any royal establishment, and King Charles has banned foie gras from any opportunity that where he serves food or so forth, because he's worked with PETA, PETA, which is an animal rights charity, and apparently foie gras is the forced feeding of geese and ducks more than anything, and so he wants this whole practice to stop. So those of us who have ever had foie gras, and I'm not one of them, I don't even know what foie gras looks like, I have to be honest, and I would imagine our Scottish chef will know this probably more than me, what it looks like. So that was one story, but the other story, which is much closer to my heart, cake. Cake has come into the royal news this week again, and the part of the cake that was the wedding cake for William and Kate, that's rather hard to say on a Wednesday afternoon, is being auctioned off for charity, and they're expecting to get hundreds of pounds for it. Well, I've put my offer in.
What did you offer, Mr. Pelter?
I'm very poor at the moment. All the British are very poor right now, and I'm I thought I might put it's what we know as a cheeky offer. I don't think I only get the royal cake somehow.
Let's ask our celebrity chef about the foie gras. What can you tell us about it?
Foie gras, I mean, it is actually delicious, very, very rich. It's basically goose liver, and it's a strange sort of color, but the flavor of it is incredibly rich. It is very, very expensive. In France, well, foie gras it's a French term, and France is the world's leading producer of it. So needless to say, in France, it is expensive, but not as expensive as it is over here. So thoroughly recommend to give it a try. It is possible to produce foie gras without actually having to force feed a goose or a duck. So it is quite exceptional. Cakes.
What would you compare the taste of it to?
It's like nothing else. You could it's very difficult to describe it. It's savory, but there's a sweetness to it as well. It's and almost a slightly sort of hint of marzipan to the background of it. You know, it's got that sort of rich sweetness to it. Very difficult taste to describe, but you know, just under the grill very quickly on hot buttered toast. Absolutely sensational.
Okay, I've never had it either. But cake, I've definitely had. So let's
Oh
talk
yes,
about that.
we love cake. This is the time of year for cake. And then Christmas cakes, of course, will be coming to the fore. I remember when living up in the further up in the West Highlands than I am just now, neighbour had their old Jeannie. She ran the local post office, and Jeannie was sort of everybody's surrogate grandmother. And if you went to her house, she was very, very old-fashioned in her mind and so on, and very prim and proper in every respect. And her cottage that she lived in, it was an old croft house with a thatched roof and stone flag floor, and there was no running water in it. There was no electricity. She didn't want any of that, and you've never met a happier person. She did all her cooking over an open coal-fired range or wood-fired range in her kitchen. It was just an absolute time warp of a house. And if you went in and had done any repairs for sorting out some thatch had fallen out the roof, and put it back in or bang a few nails in where they're required, then you get invited in, and you could have the choice of whiskey or sherry, and the bottle would come out very ceremoniously and put on the table, and the glasses were brought out. It was the same glass for either the whiskey or the sherry. It didn't matter, the only glass she had. And she would pour the measure out, put the cork back on the bottle again, and reach for a pen and put another mark on the bottle to show that is exactly what's been taken, and she wouldn't take any for herself. And out would come the Christmas cake. Of real questionable vintage. I mean, we really don't know to this day the age of the Christmas cake that she had, but you know, it certainly lasted a good few years. And in the making of a Christmas cake, there's so much alcohol goes into it that it's really, really well preserved and will last, like wedding cake, will last for years and years and years. So that was old Jeannie. She was amazing with her Christmas cake all year round.
My guilty pleasure, I'm not having cake because I gave up sugar, but I told you I'm on prednisone and it makes you so hungry. And now I'm eating rice pudding. Do you have anything to say about that?
Oh,
I have pudding in
I've started eating more porridge. I don't know whether it's the winter coming up or whatever it is, but you know, I think with all these things, it's comfort eating, isn't it? Really, this time of year, I think you've got to, you know, and just to be able to enjoy a few things, you know, it is so good as well. So I've gone back to avocados as well at the moment, and so I bought 2 big bags of avocados the other day. Which I'm gradually sort of munching through at the same time. So it's so I'm trying to remain healthy. I'm trying to listen to the Dr. JACALYN Good Health Guide.
Right, as I'm eating rice pudding.
Yes, this is avocado season in South Africa just now as well. Back to that link. I remember, you know, one of my staff had an avocado tree in their garden, and bringing me in 2 avocados one day, and each avocado weighed just over 2 pounds. I mean, these things were massive. They were like rugby balls, and they were so beautiful. I mean, the texture and the flavor of everything was absolutely spot on. But when you're buying avocados, the best ones to buy are the ones that have got the smoother skin. They've got, some have got smooth skin, some have got quite a rough skin. But the ones with the smoother skin, they're the ones to go for, and they are so nice. But yes, it's this time of year, weather is getting colder in the northern hemisphere, so you can actually afford to eat higher calorific food in the cold weather, because you will burn it off when you're going outside. You burn off more calories when it's colder, so that's okay. Porridge is good, full of fiber, full of roughage, just absolutely what the vet orders. Perfect.
Absolutely. And because I know we're probably running close to time now at the moment. So the final story that I'm hearing about this week is Royal Peculiar. Now, Royal Peculiar is really a name that's given to different establishments, cathedrals mainly. And it's given really because they don't have a bishop, and it's really connected more to the royal family. So Westminster Abbey, I heard this story this week, and I'm thinking this is a Royal Peculiar story ad hoc, because the story that another presenter that I work with was talking about was that they're trying to change the name, or King Charles. This sounds like something out of The Crown. The King Charles wants to change the name of Westminster Abbey. Now, what he wants to change it to, I have no idea. What is in his mind, I have no idea. But 1,000-year-old abbey that was a former Franciscan abbey, Franciscan monks in the first place, hence the abbey name in the first place. Why he wants to sort of change something like that, I do not know, and I can't get to the bottom of it. Whether this is true, whether this is just some strange story that someone has dreamt up on behalf of King Charles, or what. But I think the reality at the moment is that as we've been talking about the Crown as well, I think it has upset the balance of the royal family. I've never watched it, if I'm really honest. It's not something, partly because I lived through it. I actually do know the true stories behind. In fact, a lot of the stories that I've heard that have been insinuated don't even scratch the surface of what was really going on at Buckingham Palace at one time or other. But I think so. Again, why change the name of Westminster Abbey? I don't know, but it would be like changing Buckingham Palace to, I don't know, Charles's Vineyard or something. What on earth would you want to sort of change names for? And of course, now, from what I understand, is that Charles wants to actually really turn Buckingham Palace into a venue rather than somewhere where he really lives. What do the Americans think about that?
Yes, I think that's been on the cards for a while, because the Queen was, didn't want to live in Buckingham Palace and preferred Windsor Castle. So Buckingham Palace has very much become the office for the firm over the last few years, and I think Charles is quite happy with that. I believe Charles didn't want to move out of Clarence House. I think that's supposed to be a very, very comfortable villa. But yes, peculiar royals coming from a royal peculiar coming from peculiar royal. Is it? It is. I mean, there's all these strange things, quirks that come out.
And we'll never know. If you guys don't know, I don't have the answer, that's for sure. But we do have a comment from one of our lovely co-hosts here on the show, DIANN Floyd BOEHM. She writes, a great show today. Try taking Texas-sized toast, a spread of guacamole on the toast, and top it off with a fried egg. Happy Thanksgiving. Now, will either of you try that?
Yeah, with a bit of smoked salmon to go with it. Oh, sorry, Ian.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Every episode.
It sounds very good. Very good. Well, we have to wrap up because Global Adventures is coming up right after this, and we're going to be going on a hot balloon safari ride. I'm excited about that. So I'm going to spotlight each of you to share your message with the world as we close out. As I mentioned, tomorrow, Thanksgiving here in the United States. What are you each thankful for today? Starting with Simon.
I am very thankful that I've got a good heating system in the house, having temperatures just now around about 28 Fahrenheit, which is what, about -2, or is it maybe even less than 28, but -2 centigrade. So the thought of a hot air balloon, it would have to be very hot for me if I was going to go up in these kind of temperatures. But there we are, and I am so looking forward to next week.
Thank you very much, sir. And how about you, Mr. Ian Pelham Turner, and your fan club of birds?
My fan club of birds. Well, I think Friday night is going to be very interesting for you as well as for me, because Friday night England play United States at soccer as part of the World Cup. So it's going to be very, very interesting to sort of see what's going to happen there as well. I hope both sides come out extremely well afterwards at the same time. And really what I think at the moment is let's stay happy. Let's find ways of being positive at a time like this. It is cold in Britain. Britain at the moment, I think, is going to go through some very changing times, and we need all the help and support we can get from America as well. So, yo, Americans.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. And again, sending out our love and our thanks to Diane, and also to Helena, and each and every one of you who is watching on the live or listening on the live or the replay. We are most grateful to have you join us on this journey. So we'll be closing out right now. Happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate tomorrow. And I have Thanksgiving in my heart for Simon and for Ian. Thank you again for being here today.
Thank
you. And I wish Helena all the best as well.
Yes,
absolutely.
And everybody else as well. This is not the time of year to be ill, so get better and enjoy it.
We need our regulars all back again, but it's good.
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll be back next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.